Well, I'm Lori with Interior Design Community, and we have Niall here. Hi, Niall. Hi. He's very silent over there. And then we have Ross Dunn. Ross and I have known each other for, I want to say, like close to 13 years because Google Plus started communities 13 years ago, and we'll be turning 13 in December. And I met you through a Google group, and I wanted to interview. We were doing back in the day, we did these live streams on Google Hangouts, and I wanted to interview someone about websites and SEO. And so I went into a group that was about webmastering, and I found a bunch of people responded, but I could tell you were like a real, honest, legit person that answered. So I was like, that guy for sure, and picked you. And we've been friends ever since. Like we've ever
Yay!
since. So that's how it all began. And we've done things together. We've helped on our website. You've helped on other designers' websites. You've done free evaluations for interior designers to let them know what their problems are with SEO. And you've given such great advice to our community. And we're so happy to have you on. I'm so
Thank
pleased
you.
that I get to chat with you today because so much is
Oh, I'm
changing.
likely. I'm very happy to be here too.
Right? I mean, like the world of SEO must be like freaking out now about GEO and any other word they have for large language models and how, I mean, I use ChatGPT to search for stuff all the time now. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm even finding myself. About a year ago, I was talking to Niall and I was like, I think that ChatGPT is a Google killer.
Yeah.
And he was like, no way.
Yep.
No way. It's
Yep.
not true.
Not
But
gonna happen.
I was watching one of those late night shows, like comedy shows, and Timothy Chalamet was on, and he said, "I ChatGPT'd a recipe," and I was like, "It's a verb. He used it as like a verb, like
I know.
that is the game changer for me." And I think a lot of people are thinking that. And how has it impacted your industry? Like, what are people saying? I'm just so curious about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like to call it's the Kleenex of AI now.
Right. Right.
Everyone's calling ChatGPT, and it's crazy. And it's not exactly one that rolls off the tongue. I guess it's okay. It's bizarre. But how is it impacting the industry? Uh I've been taking a lot of sighs this last couple of days because I've been absolutely early morning to late night just focused on everything to do with what I like to call AEO. I think that's a little better. Answer engine optimization just sounds a little better to me, but I know GEO is also the other option. But and a lot of it is too much early adopter syndrome
Right.
for SEOs,
Right.
and I think that's pretty synonymous across all the people, all my colleagues who've been in this as long as I have or close to, which is now coming on 29 years, which is crazy.
Right.
We've seen so many iterations of things. This is obviously the biggest change, I would say.
Huge, huge.
But I wish I could remember stats. I'm never good at this, but someone was saying that a lot of the changes or a lot of the searches that are happening that are related to search and such, like on Google and all this stuff, anything to do with this is actually seeming to come a lot from our community. So it's almost like we're creating the rush.
Right.
And then we're getting panicked because they're not on top of it, and we're all a little bit frenzied.
Right. Well,
But yes,
does
I
the
mean,
landscape change? Are the things that were valued as important as they are? I mean, from a user perspective, I mean, it's so much more convenient to and get answers on ChatGPT because you're not getting the fluff. Like even like if I'm looking for a recipe, for instance, just like as simple as that, I can ask for the recipe. I'm not getting like a bunch of like blog posts that I don't really want to read. I want the recipe. I don't want to
Yep.
read a blog post. I don't want to read a story. I don't want to see 15 ads for different ingredients of that recipe. I just want the recipe that I'm looking for. And that is
Yeah.
it. And it gives it to you in 2 seconds. And then if I want to keep having that conversation, I'm like, I don't like mushrooms. I love mushrooms, but like just say I don't like mushrooms and it will give me another recipe without mushrooms. Like it's just so fast and so time saving and so I don't know how I did anything without it before, and I'm just so
I know,
it.
right?
I love it. I do so much with it, and I feel like it knows me so much better now too, and because of our we have a relationship, ChatGPT and I. But I'm curious about all of the things that will happen. Like, okay, so if you don't know anything about websites, there are a lot of designers out there who have, you've looked at a lot of designer websites. There are some problems with designer websites. Some of them do not have your address on it. That is probably a good thing to have, is like where you're serving, the area you're serving.
Area,
That
yes.
would be great. Words on your portfolio would be good.
Yes, from an SEO, we kind of cringe. We're like, what are we going to work with
Yeah,
here?
yeah, because you need words for the pages to index properly, right? I mean, you don't
It's,
have to, but
yeah.
better if it has words. Google knows like what you did and what you're doing, and
Is
that
that
the more,
words on the images or words on the portfolio? Because I think a lot of designers just don't know. Like we
yeah.
think we just put the work out there. So
So
is
you
it
have
words on the page
like
or is it words
if you had
like
words
on
on
the
that page,
images? Yeah.
words on the image, everything having words, also a location of where it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. Obviously, it's your client's address, so you don't have to use that. But let's just say it's a neighborhood. It's in, you know, for me, it would be in the north end of Manchester. It is, I have images that are on there. Let's just say I did a kitchen
Yeah.
and I have one image that has full room. I could say north end kitchen, full room, and then I could have another part that is like north end kitchen, detail shot of the range, that kind of thing. Naming the image what it is helpful. Naming the portfolio with like a location, like that's north end Manchester home, or something of that, like that has some sort of location. I mean, I'm getting into things that Ross knows way more than I do, but those are things that are important. But also having a story of what you did, so that you're saying kitchen, you're saying I renovated the kitchen, I did this, um we had a strange floor plan, and just things that your potential client would be interested in too. It's not going to be fluff. It's going to be, and you can utilize ChatGPT for it. You can literally use the microphone option. People in an article, when you're writing an article, if you think back into any journalism class you took, or if you didn't take a journalism class, it's like who, what, when, where, why. Who, what, when, where, why.
Mhm.
Ask your ask you ChatGPT to ask you questions about you could put all the portfolio images you have. Ask me questions that would be relevant to my potential clients about this project. And you can answer it on voice. Like, it takes seconds. And then that can be the article, like a case study that you have created for it. I mean, you're going to have to edit
Great
it,
idea.
but it can be.
Great.
I mean, really, it just can be like that simple to talk about the things you already know. Only you know that. Like, you know, we were going to go with this range, but they were back ordered. So we went with this range, and we had there was a really tight spot for the refrigeration unit, or we had to get the right, panels for it, or whatever that was. All of the things you did. So it's great for you to talk about that as an expert, right?
And don't forget the alt attributes, or whatever people call it, alt text. I
Okay.
mean, that's really
It
important.
is.
Uh,
Okay.
it,
So why is that important?
Google.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, you really want to cater to people who may be visually impaired, of any kind of have a handicap that they may not be able to see things as perfectly. It's nice to have that. Screen readers will be able to read it. So it needs to be descriptive. It needs to be really accurate, not keyword filled. It's supposed to be usable. But the irony is, when you do that and do a good job of it, it fulfills both
Right.
of your objectives. It's going
Absolutely.
to be great for them. But it's also going to be great for search engines,
Right.
because they're going to see that and go, okay, well, that's what this image is. And there will be a rub off. And, also name your file name of the image something similar. So it's not just XYZ.
Yeah, never name it, the
you
name of
know?
the photo. Yeah, absolutely. And you can use ChatGPT for this alt text too. It knows what is in that. Weirdly, does a pretty good job of knowing what's in the photo. So you can say, give me a really great alt text for this photo, and it will give it to you. I mean, you might edit a little bit like, oh, that was a Gagano oven, or, like those kinds of things.
Yeah. You were asking before about what sort of changes are happening. I think I got too stuck in the industry side because I'm kind of in there up to past my eyeballs. But one of the big things is a lot of people are panicking because they're seeing a drop in of visibility and traffic to their website. But what they're not knowing, this is not always the case. It depends. It always depends. But in most cases, when people come, when they're, and it's time to buy, they do end up coming to your site to do the digging. They're not going to trust AI to do all that for
No.
them. It's different if they're comparing, what product they should buy. If it's a widget or something, then fine, whatever. They'll let AI do most of the work. But if it's a big ticket item or a big consultancy, or like I know in the SEO world, they're not going to just go with someone who is suggested through
No. I mean, if
AI.
you were
No,
hiring an interior designer, you're still going to look at those portfolios. You're still going to read the reviews from the designers. You're still those things still matter. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't think that I would ever make that kind of decision with somebody I have to spend 2 years of my life with, just based on like
yeah,
ChatGPT saying this one's the best.
exactly. But people do get worried because it is like just AI overviews in Google that is stealing a lot of traffic.
Sure.
And the companies that are feeling it the most, we're trying to monetize that traffic with ads,
Right.
and they're getting
Oh, I
hammered. I mean,
know.
that's just a bygone era now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's going to survive. But when it comes down to real purchasing intent, they're going to end up finding they'll look at the suggested providers and then go through them.
Right.
So they're going to go to your site. So you do want to be suggested.
Right.
And in order to do that, it's about building authority. And I've talked about this through the nose for
I
years.
know.
You need to prove to Google that you've earned the right to rank.
Right.
And I'm saying Google because it is still 98%. No matter what's all this hubbub is about, it's still the big
Well,
player,
that's where
unfortunately. I want
ChatGPT
it.
is getting most of their information is Google. I mean, that's where it's coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know this, and it's a babbly-gab term, but query fan out. So I kind of hate it. It's how these AI systems work. Think of it as like you ask. Let's say I asked you, let's go to a restaurant. Which one do you like to go to? Well, immediately, and you're playing the role of a search engine here in a sense. You go, oh well, what can you eat? What can I eat? What would be seasonal right now? Which place is under construction? Which one isn't? And you go through all these different things, and that's what it's going to Google or all these different search engines and getting the answers to. Let's say AI overviews. It's going to Google. It's literally searching its own system to get these answers, and then it compiles them into one long answer, which is what you see in the AI overviews. So it's thinking about all the things that we would think about, or it thinks that we're thinking about, and then tries to create a great answer. And that's part of what they're trying to improve these days is, are we thinking just like what they want to get an answer to? And it's important to understand that. And this is really, really, really critical. This is how our websites need to be designed now.
Right.
The content needs to be built in a query fan out model, like a topical model that answers all of the questions you could possibly think of that your persona, that person, that target market would be asking. And they all come off a wheel with the spokes, the spokes of all the different answers.
Right.
And when AI looks at this, it goes, oh, this is perfect.
Right.
This is one I want to show as a source.
Right. Well, how do you do that in terms of local community though? Like how does Niall Johnson, who has a interior design business in Kennett Square, come up as the designer in his area? If he puts out content that makes him an expert in interior design, that could reach anyone in the entire world. Like how does he localize that kind of information?
Well, a lot of it's what you mentioned is saying the area you work in.
Okay.
The other aspect is probably the most powerful one, ironically, is proof of your hyperlocal proof is what we technically call it. But that is sponsoring a local ball team, maybe mentioning charities that you're working with and have them mention you. That ball team's going to link back to you. Hopefully they've got a
So
website and they
link
say, yeah,
backs
they
do
sponsor
still
us.
matter today.
Massive,
Well, I'm reading
massive.
everything I'm reading, and you can correct me on this, but everything I'm reading says that social proof is going to matter more than link backs going forward. And it's not quite there yet, but like your Instagram content, your social content is going to be indexable and much more relevant than just link backs, because mentions and the web of how we talk to each other on socials are going to matter.
Yes, that's part of it. That's the essence of citations, is kind of the way we call it. Any kind of notation about you online is definitely going to have power. And the more that social media is indexable and has some merit, the more it might have some impact. At this stage, yes, mentions are big, but not across the board. I mean, I don't even know how much. There must be a study out there, but a lot of them gave up on these studies. Like, how much is Facebook really having any impact on rankings? As far as I know, almost none.
Right. Yeah.
And even with mentions, it probably won't. These are closed, walled gardens. Really, there's a lot of content you can see, but does Google care, really?
Right.
It's too easy to fake it. They can't control that walled garden, so they're just going to ignore it. Instagram, same thing, really. Yeah, unless there's something that is triple verified, kind of, okay, this isn't being faked, they're going to be pretty uncertain about taking it for, at face value. So I would say more along the lines of reviews. I'm
I
looking for
still
the
want
obvious wins
designers to
here.
pay. I mean, I talk about it. I feel like way too much that they need to care about their Google reviews. I
Yeah.
feel like I've debated, I remember having a debate with a designer about it because she's like, my clients don't read reviews. And I was like, they're going to. Maybe they don't, because this was years ago. They're going to, because everybody reads reviews. I do. I don't go to a restaurant without reading reviews. I don't go to a hotel without reading reviews. I mean, if I go to a resort,
Yeah.
I've read every single review that resort has ever had. I know the good, bad, and the ugly. I just don't want any surprises. And I think that I'm sure that that's the case for designers too. That they are going to work with you, going to trust you with a remarkable amount of money for them, and they want to know that they can trust you. So reviews are great.
And different markets are harder or easier to get video reviews, but they are the best.
The best. Okay.
Well, you think about it, when you go to a page and you see someone talking about their experience, and if it's not an actor,
Right.
typically it's really authentic. I mean,
Yeah.
almost too authentic.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe they should have,
Cleaned up
put
their
a little
backyard, cleaned up the room
lighting,
they were in.
kind of like, yeah, kind of like my lighting right now. It's obviously not professional, so
Right.
this is authentic.
Yeah.
So that's really
Do
important.
you think
It's
you
just
could get
it's
any
hard to
Google?
fake.
Do you think you could ever get a video review from a client, Niall?
So I think I could ever get a, maybe. I don't know that I would. I don't know that that's probably my biggest struggle is asking for reviews. I
It
don't.
is.
I probably have never asked. The ones that I've gotten have just been they've decided, oh, I'm going to go and write a review. And well, actually, no, that's not true. Back in the day of Pebbles, I think I did ask because that was sort of what was being fed to me that you need to ask, you need to have reviews in order to rank
I was
higher.
always annoyed by the house doing that because I'm like, they're stealing your own
Yeah.
SEO. Like I
So
was so
that
annoyed
was
by
the
how.
that was probably the only time, and the reason why that felt easier to me is because there was like a little form you would send. Like you would just email this form and say, fill this out, and then it would automatically like. But a video review, I don't know. I there are some clients, I guess I'm thinking about it. There are some clients that I know would probably definitely do it in a heartbeat. They would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
and it's
I
easier
did
for them.
one. I have never done I've done a video review for you, not Ross, but
Yes.
I have not done very many video reviews. But am a Google local, like they think of me as like a Google local. I'm like tiered up with Google. I get invited to the parties. That's or
Oh, nice. What, you're tier 9 now, are you?
yeah. So I'm
My.
Nice.
like a Google, I forget what they call it, like a Google local expert or some stupid thing. But that's really because I've given a lot of reviews for people. And I've
A
always
lot.
I give good reviews. But the ones that are the most popular have pictures. That I do know. Like I have one image that I took at a hotel near here that get emails that like it's up to this many million views. It's so crazy. It's one of my photos is like millions of views from Google search. So definitely love photos, and with design being so visual, I think if you can get them at least to put some photos in their review on their Google review, that would be great. I think that'd be really nice.
Absolutely. And if you really care about your local environment, and I see a mixture of opinions about that from interior designers I've worked with. A lot of them don't really focus locally, so they don't think they need to work on their Google platform and get those reviews, but they do, because it is important for that social proof. And you can always have the person just, hint at this anyway, and say, could you please put in that you're in this part of the United States?
Right.
That way it shows that I'm not just local.
Right.
And it does look good, and tell them a little bit about what you do. Maybe you're working on a multifamily home, maybe a senior living, whatever it might have been that you were working on. And those little cues are huge.
Oh yeah.
And very, very, very important for AI, because it's also mining all this data to try and get an idea of who you are and what you offer.
Right.
But what I was getting at there is that in those Google business profiles, you can't really say you are providing services to everywhere.
Right.
So you will have to pick a locale, and that bothers people, but just do it, build on it, and it's okay.
Every designer I've talked to, honestly, like the majority of their work comes, they might do a job overseas or whatever, but they still have a service area that is the majority of their work, I think. So recognizing the neighborhoods, use ChatGPT for that too. Break down every single neighborhood. Make sure you're hitting all of those words in the reviews. This neighborhood and this neighborhood and this neighborhood as much as you can. The other thing is that you can get designers have a hard time because they might work on a project for 2 to 3 years, and it's like one family. So that becomes like, how many reviews can they possibly get in their career? But you don't necessarily just need to be a client to review an interior designer. You can have other people who work with you. You can have vendors review you. You can have multiple people that knew you in the project or worked with you in the project. It could be your contractor, your tile person, your wallpaper hanger, your painter. Anybody can speak to you about your professional abilities or loves your work, right? It's really anybody who loves your work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think when it comes down to your website, do make sure that you keep that updated with fresh portfolios on a regular basis. All of this information is going to be mined. Like we were talking before, make sure that there is text there for Google to index. That's my biggest battle when I'm working with interior designers on optimization, trying to get that text in here. I know we covered it partly, but just to reiterate, that is very important. You don't have to put a lot.
I say it all the time too. Ross, I am out there speaking to the choir with you.
Yay.
I'm trying. I really want designers to recognize that the text matters so much. I just did a talk on marketing in Boston, and I was telling those designers that, and they were like, well, how many words? And I was like, in an ideal world, 1,000. And they were like, 1,000? I thought 5 sentences. I was like,
1,000 where per
portfolio grouping, I would think. Yeah.
Ooh.
I know.
Yeah. If I did have 1,000,
it doesn't,
I would.
at least 500, right? It needs to be at least 500.
Well, and if I was doing that,
if you're describing a paragraph about the client, a paragraph about what they wanted to do, a paragraph about what you were able to do, a wrap up about like how the different people that you worked with or different product lines that you worked with, it doesn't, that 500 words, 1,000 words, like that can go pretty fast, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
and challenges that you faced.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing that I really like is when you're doing that, and we're working on an interior design site right now, a great one we're quite proud of, it's coming along nicely, is drop downs. You can always nest that you can have it so someone clicks that and boom, comes down the information about challenges we faced. But then it collapses again. That way the page isn't overburdened with this and all the images can do the talking,
Right.
which is the main thing that every designer wants, and I get it.
Sure.
But that way you've got the text there. Google used to not like that, but because of a mobile first world where your website needs to run perfectly in mobile, it realized that space is everything. So it wants you to use these ways of consolidating content, and using a drop-down is a great way to do that,
Yeah.
or accordion or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
So that could be
That's
like
a
a
really good
simple.
point. So drop downs are acknowledged or searchable, like because I had this idea in my head. I mean, this is just me in my ignorant world, not knowing SEO. That I better not put it in a drop down because it won't see it. Like I better not do my like I did a whole FAQs page. I'm like, I better just all be out there because if I put it in a drop down, like Google won't pick it up. But you're saying that it does. It will pick it up if it's in a drop down.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, Google's looking at the code. So no matter what, even in the old days, it could see it.
Okay.
But what it was trying to do was it's all about the user's experience, because it wants you to have a great experience. So you continue to use Google because Google referred you to that site. So you go to a website. It was the case that if you were using a desktop site and you had them in there, it wouldn't count that content towards the overall optimization of the page, and it was a bad thing. And so we stopped using accordions in most of the cases. But thankfully, this is us just having to cater to Google's whims. We're back to having that amazing tool because, again, in mobile, every centimeter, every few pixels is key.
Yeah.
So they don't want you to have a lot of content. They want that squished, if possible.
That is so great. That's good
What's
information to know, and I think would
Yeah.
solve the problem for designers because they want the photos to shine, which I can't blame them. They worked so hard on that work, and then they paid a fortune for photography, so they want that to shine. But also, like, really the order of your photos, the names of your photos, all of those things being so important. Do you have any tips? I just actually had a designer write in today, and she was looking for a referral for a web developer, so I did send her to you. But she's kind of on a budget. I'm not sure what her budget is, but she was formerly using Wix. And she's like, I know that this isn't getting me anything. So I need to switch over. I'm going to go to WordPress, but I want something affordable. My key for that is that in affordability, the main thing you want is the site is going to be one investment. You're just going to have to pay it. But knowing how to update your portfolio yourself, because you're not going to always want to pay someone to do that, and knowing how to put in a blog post or some sort of like SEO kind of feature like a blog post would be helpful, right? I mean, that's what you would love for them to know what to do. If you've delivered the package to them in an ideal world, you want that.
Ideally, yes, the blog would 100%. You need to be able to do the blog. When it comes to portfolios, it all depends on how they wanted it built. Portfolios can be quite complex to update and create new ones. But then they can also just send that information to us and we can have it done in a day.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
Right.
It looks great on mobile, and that's stuff. See, that's the thing. When they try to do it themselves, and all the power to them, I wish they could. Sometimes it doesn't work because they're uploading the same size image that needs to work in both mobile and desktop, and they don't have the right perspective and ratios of the images, and it can be too much.
Right.
So there are rare instances where the portfolio, having heard one hard time with that, is easy to update. Most of the time we would do it for them, but again, fairly quickly, and it's not expensive.
Yeah. But definitely
But the
updating
blog,
it on a, what would you consider a regular basis for Google to be happy? Like I said, designers don't always have portfolio images to add because it's expensive. It's like photography is very expensive. So is it
no.
best if once a year they get new portfolio images, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if they've already got an established company and they have, say, enough portfolios on, what would you call them, cases, I've actually had a hard time figuring out what would the word be. I was trying to say this to my client today.
I like
Is
I
it,
like considering them case studies personally. But
I want to call them,
I do too. I like them as case studies, but portfolio
or
is the
you
the
call them,
typical, like, this is the portfolio of work, you know?
it's just the portfolio and then you have the case studies inside it or
Yeah.
the
That's what
projects
I would
inside it.
like. Well, there's usually projects
Okay.
inside of it, but I like to consider them the projects to be case
Anyway,
studies, like, for someone who is looking at it as a potential hiring of a designer, those projects are a case study for them. Like, this is what we did. This is what we
yeah, they are effectively.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
Mm.
true. So anyway, if they've got enough of them already, great.
right?
Then yeah, just update it once a year.
Yeah,
Unless they're, because like you said, most of them don't have huge amount of projects every year.
right,
So just update it once a year and you're looking good. You're looking pretty. And it's being optimized hopefully by someone and to ensure that it's showing up. And then whenever whatever person who's optimizing it knows when a particular change is happening in the answer engine universe, perhaps schema markup. This is very nerdy, but it's code that's put behind the page that allows Google and other engines to understand more about what's being provided. And most importantly, it provides the markup you see within search results, where you get a snippet, where you get an image, where you get a video, where you get there's tons of stuff that schema can do. That needs to be added. Then that optimizer would do that and manage that on a regular basis. It can't sit idle. And another thing I can't stress enough, because I see this far too often, is that WordPress, it's an amazing platform and I love it to bits, but it needs to be updated regularly and needs to have a running backup. I like to, we're crazy paranoid. We have 90 days of backups because when a website is hacked, the hacker does it maybe 30 days ago and then shows his hand so that when you roll back to a backup, he's still got that opening
right,
and he can go right back in and do it again. So you need to have quite an extensive backup history. And if you have someone managing the site, they've got that. Plus, they're also looking for plugins, making sure they're updated regularly. And then, again, another thing I see all the time, testing the site to make sure that plugin didn't break something.
right.
And another thing that will save someone listening to this, almost guaranteed will save them thousands and thousands of dollars. Test your form once a month if you've got a contact form or a quote form, because I don't know how many times those things break and people have no idea how many leads they've lost.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge for a designer because that's where they get everything is those contact forms. I didn't even really think about that breaking. I know that most designers from chit-chatting at markets and whatnot do not have access to their webmaster tools. They don't know what the rankings
But
are. They don't know if this pages have index. They don't know what's ranking in their site and what isn't ranking in their site. Do you recommend that they have access to their webmaster tools?
look at you. Yeah, your old hand now. You're still calling it Google Webmaster
I
Tools.
am.
So yeah, look at that. That's awesome. No, only us would understand that.
Yeah.
We'd only get it. But Google Search Console is what you would look for online. Unfortunately, that's what they called it now. So type that in, make sure you do have access to it. If you don't, it's really simple to get access if you follow the instructions. Even if you're not techie at all, just follow the instructions. It should be pretty straightforward. If you need a hand, I'm sure you've got a tech person that can help you. But yes, once you get access to that, you're pretty much opening Google's kimono. It's going, hey, look, this is what I know about your site. This is some really important information. It could even be alerting you to something that you don't know about, and they won't tell you unless you have access to Google Search Console. It's really important. Even more so now because Google has broken all of the reporting mechanisms for the SEO industry. We used to be able to get over 100 results and see your third place listing or third page listing and that you were showing up on the third page of rankings. Well, now only one. We can only get the top 10 now.
Wow.
And that's been huge. It's like a violation. What the heck? How are we going to do our reporting? So now we're going to all have to use Google Search Console, which really sucks in my opinion to have to use that, but we're going to have to do what we have to do. And at this stage, it's very difficult to get anything past the first page in any of these reporting tools.
Yeah.
So yes, Google Search Console is where it's at right
Yeah.
now.
What do you say for people who have to use that and are, because I've had this conversation with designers and we're like, going out there opens a whole can of worms because now I am completely and super hyper focused on, well, this person dropped off at this page and this person was only on this page for 60 seconds and this says this person got to the contact form. So what am I doing wrong here? What am I doing wrong? So are there certain things that us novices should look at and not pay attention to? Like what are the things that we should really pay attention to there? And what are the things that we should just leave alone because it's going to drive us insane?
So what you're talking about there is probably more along the lines of Google Analytics.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So Google Analytics 4, they forced us to upgrade to, I think it was this year, and it's not great. It's got lots of issues, but I know what you're talking about. I've got a bit of ADD, so when I get in there, I have to focus, man, because there are so many metrics. It's just, whoa, okay. You know what? You want to make sure that you have conversion points set up on it. Just say, this is what a lead means to me. A person has gone to this page and has spent X amount of time on my website or has filled out this form. Just specify those. And if you look it up, just say, how do I set up conversion or goals is what they call it within Google Analytics, and create those goals. Then you can just look at that and go, okay, where did those people come from? You know, I've got a few people that went there. All right, where did they come from? And then you can do some digging and seeing where they went. And if you're getting a lot of traffic that's going to one page, but then everyone's leaving, if that's just a piece of content that you wrote, that's typically what happens. They just go there and read it and leave. You want them to socialize it, so make sure you've got some social options on the page to make it easy for them to socialize. But typically, unless you've got some kind of catch, they're not going to go to other pages on your site. And that's not the end of the world. You're building a brand. They're coming there, they're seeing your brand. And as long as you have a cohesive brand across all your platforms and they can see that, oh, that's them. I know that. I trust that color. I trust that look. It's not going to work as well. But if you have that, it's great. So don't be too worried about bounce time. A lot of people say, oh my God, I got a huge bounce rate on my website. Well, if you're a writer, that's going to happen. You're just going to get people going off and coming back and so on. If you know someone's coming to you from, let's say, a lead generator you've got on another person's website, they're coming to your site and then they're bouncing, that's a problem. Because you are trying to get them to your site to look at more of your content, look at your portfolio, and then ultimately contact you, or at the very least sign up for a newsletter or something. Have a soft goal, something that doesn't feel threatening to them, doesn't feel like they're taking that big leap, but lets them get to know you a bit better, and you can work your way in and build that trust. That's how I work with Google Analytics. Very simple, very clean, and keeps me from getting off track. And I try and recommend that to all my clients as well.
That's great. Okay, that's
What
good.
about like a lead magnet for a designer? Is that something you would recommend? Like if they had, like I know a friend of mine who is a design blogger. You know her, Laurel Byrne, actually. You knew Laurel. She had years ago a blog article that was like very highly ranked on white paint, like which white paints to pick. It was, and white paints are hard to pick, actually. They're very, very hard to get white right, and it's a very popular color. People like neutral colors in general. So do you think like lead magnets that try to help the designers collect email lists or email subscribers, like giving away, 5 of my most used white paints or 5 of my most used paint colors for 2026 or something like that would be helpful?
Yes, it does. It depends. Our favorite line in the SEO industry or any marketing, really. What is your market?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that sounds like a great idea if you're trying to market to other interior designers. Unless again, it depends. If most of your readers are the average person who's trying to do it DIY, and that's okay, and you don't mind getting those people downloading that, and that's a target for you, great. That's a perfect example of a good one. But if you're just getting more interior designers grabbing your stuff, and that's not going to lead to any business, what's the point?
Right. So what kind of lead magnet
Unless
do
you're
you
trying
think a
to
designer should give? Like what would be an example of a good one?
Hmm. Maybe a checklist for, again, this will depend, and if they hear my designers clients talking to me, they don't want this kind of, they don't really want to
Oh,
track this
I
kind of
have an
person
idea of like,
necessarily,
what
but
about a guide that how you can increase the cost of a project, like, or decrease the cost of a project for yourself. Like, what is it that, like, a guide that Niall could make that would be like, here are the top 10 things that increase the cost of your project that when you're hiring an interior designer. So, like, if you take too long to decide what, to pick, that usually can delay the project, causing more time and money. So it will
like
cost more money.
pitfalls to avoid.
So I know potential design clients are thinking like, I have this big project. I don't want to do anything myself personally that would make this cost more money. Like, how can you
Yeah.
save money on your interior design project? And then really a lot of it is like increase your, be able to make decisions, know your budget so that you know what you're spending, know what, that anytime you cause a delay, like I just had a designer who talked to me the other day and she's like, I had to literally, they, they call us like this is, because it's so frustrating for the for the designers. Like they're calling me because their kid is homesick and now they don't want to do the kitchen install. Well, I have to call every single trade that was on plan to come. I don't just get to do it tomorrow. Like now we're at the back of the line for this could be 3 months that they can come back. I don't know. I mean, I've got tile people coming and, installers and flooring and like I've got all these installers scheduled. I can't just I'm at the back of the line when I ask them to come back again. Like they have other projects they're working on. I have a bunch of people to coordinate. It's not as simple as like this is super easy. This is you don't just get the new spot. You don't just get to do it tomorrow. I don't think that they at all understand that costs them a lot more money. That is a huge, problem from that perspective. I think they're just thinking like there's going to be noise. My child's sick. It's inconvenient today. They're not thinking about are literally 15 people that this affects and 15 businesses, separate businesses that this affects.
Yeah, that'd be really great. That'd be a good one. Another one, what I was going with there was a DIY. Do you want to do your own interior design? Well, here are some things you could consider, but that in terms of a lead
This is what
gen,
can
that
go
would only be
wrong.
good if you're trying to go
Yeah,
for the smaller gigs that you do. And a lot of interior designers don't want that.
right.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's all good. That's the sort of stuff you
Yeah,
want to
that's
track.
really good
And
point. Like your 5 free paint colors is going to attract DIYers versus content that could attract an actual design client being correct. That's 100% correct. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And I know that designers have a ton of opinions about these things, right, Niall?
Well, isn't it like, I mean, I wonder though, like, because sometimes with clients, I will use like when they say, well, I'm gonna go shop for this particular piece myself, right? And sometimes instead of going through the whole, well, you signed a contract and you're going to pay me 35% and blah, blah, whatever. I say, okay, no problem. I want you to have all the information. So I'm going to shoot you over a list of all the things that I have to go through when I'm sourcing a product. So you just need to make sure that you go through this list because you want the process to be as smooth for you as possible. And then when I send that's like reverse psychology. When I send them that list of 40 to 50 things that they should, they're like, oh, I didn't realize you do this for each item? Yeah. Oh, I don't want to, no, never mind. Never mind. I don't, can you just find it for me? It's just easier for you to find it. So I wonder if like even something like that,
Yeah.
all the things that we, procurement and, whatever, all the things that we, go through in procurement on the back end,
It
I
is
just, if
it is
that would
so much
reverse like
more
a
than
client,
people know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the other one is probably the most common one I see in my industry, but it's common everywhere really, is the, how to pick a great designer,
yeah,
a great interior designer.
yeah.
What are some of the
What
things
to
you
look
should be
for.
considering? What should you look out for? that are negative, where to look for it, that kind of thing. And, even if it is everywhere, it's not necessarily where that person's looking.
Mhm.
And there's no harm in having something like that. And it's definitely valuable.
Yeah.
And if you happen to have all these things ticked off, well, of course you do, right? That's good.
Right.
Then you're good on all these different things. And then all the other people will look bad and you will hopefully get the gig.
Right. Speaking
It's
of
huge what
that,
you just said, though. Like,
yeah,
I think people need to pay attention to that. Like you said, even though it could be everywhere, it may not be where you are, where that person is looking. I think that's huge because a lot of us, as a company included, don't do certain things because we feel like, oh, it's been done 20 times. But they don't know it's been done 20 times if they're looking at your website and you didn't do it. That's huge. Like, that's
it is.
huge. Yeah.
I think that is huge because you're right. I mean, we get so inundated in this industry of thinking about ourselves, and
Yep.
it does get to be like, well, I don't want to copy someone else's stuff, I
Yep.
mean, I don't want to do the same thing. I don't want to be seen as somebody in our industry that does the same thing that somebody else is doing. But the clients are never looking at 50 million designers that are across the country. They're looking at in their area, usually in their own area, for a designer in their area. And they're not looking at a designer in California, you know, and what they're writing on their website. Absolutely.
I've got a coach, uh, Chris Ward. She's amazing. And I'd say more than half the time it's her telling me, look, people don't know what you know. They don't.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just put it out there. They don't. I'm like, but he already wrote about it. They don't know that.
I don't know.
He's always calmly just trying to chill me out.
The other thing is your perspective that you're adding to it and your personality that you're adding to it. I don't know how many times I really do believe like it's a very long time to be with somebody and you want to pick a designer you actually really like. And the designer should pick a client that they actually really like. It's really hard to work with people you don't like, that you have very, very different
Mhm.
opinions about life in general. And you would never want to spend a day with that person, that kind of thing. Like it's just there are people you don't like. And so I think getting it out there so that you're sharing good information, but also like attracting the people that would like you, and that would want to work with you. So putting your spin on it gives them that option to know who you are and to see if
Right.
you're the type of person they would really want to spend time with. Because your spin on it is going to absolutely somehow in there show your personality, who you are as part of the
And
mix.
and as a marketer, I'm my own worst marketer. We're all our own worst marketers in many ways.
We are.
And I literally I felt like I was being pulled by my teeth to create a website that even featured my picture because I didn't want to be on front of anything. But what I've learned is again kicking and screaming that it's and this is good for interior designers to listen to, I think. It's about you. It's about your image. It's about your take on things. It's about that trust that you build and that you exude. And that's so important. Everything these days gets so, I don't know, in my market, definitely gets kind of corporate and there's just nothing to it. Where going the warmer route will attract the kind of client that you want.
Right.
And that has truly worked for me. I didn't believe it would work so well, but it has. It just brings a different level of client. I have much less headaches than I used to have. And I'm sure that would be the same thing for you, an interior designer.
Yeah. I think that the personality factor in there, and it will also drive away the client who immediately is annoyed by you. Just like you don't want to work with the people who don't really like you either. You want their experience to be fun and enjoyable for them. They're spending money with someone. You want them to work with someone that they enjoy. And so it works both ways. It drives away the clients that maybe would see you and not like you too, and it brings in the
Sure.
ones that do like you and think that you're great, and that's what
Right.
you want. For SEO, I will just say another, like, as we end this up, like, there isn't anybody that you will meet online that is more trustworthy than Ross Dunn. I believe that 1000% in the web development and SEO world. I have talked to hundreds and hundreds of different web developers. You are just this down to earth, lovely, sweet man who tries your hardest to and you're so compassionate and caring to people. I really can't say enough wonderful things about you. I'm so glad we met all those
Thank you.
years ago,
So sweet.
you
I
know?
appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's like it's very hard for a designer to get involved with web development and SEO because it does feel like they don't know I mean, it's not their area of expertise. And so
Yeah.
as a result, if there are people out there taking advantage and scamming and saying they've given you an SEO site, I don't know how many times I saw people say, I just got an SEO site, and I would run their site through like that. Remember years ago, Google had like that mobile friendly checker that you could just put your website on, and it was like,
You can still do
you
it.
can still do
Yeah.
it? Okay. Like you just put it on and see if your site is mobile friendly, and immediately it wasn't. I'm like, this is not SEO friendly. I'm
For
sorry.
listeners, I would go to, if you were going to test it though, go to GTmetrix.com.
GTmetrix.com.
So GTMT, metrics. GTmetrix. Any way you type it online, you'll find it. And that's where I run all of my clients through theirs. And we do it every single month for the ones we're managing. So we're always keeping it fast.
Right.
Those sites have to be fast. It is so important. The attention span of people is just getting worse by the day. So
Mine
speed is
included.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other little tips like any other sites that you think that designers should be checking so that they can be aware of like what they need to do for their sites? Is there anything else out there that they should be paying attention to?
Well, I will say that this is very early. I'm literally launching it today, but I'm going to be launching SEOgrok.com. That's GROK.com, SEO Grok. And it's a Substack, if anyone cares. But essentially, when they go there, it's going to have information like this. I've taken a, 15-year at least hiatus from writing, and I'm going into it full bore again. So there'll be lots of great info there. Obviously, there's other great sites too, but it can be overwhelming. I get it. So, searchengineland.com is great. But again, you will get sucked in and probably get overwhelmed. So, try out
I
SEOgrok.com
think that would
first
be a
and
good
see if
thing.
you
It might
find it.
give you those bite
Yeah.
size, like what to expect, because you just want to make sure you're hiring someone that you can ask the right questions and that you're getting the right thing from them. And if you don't know anything about it, it's good to have an idea of what those expectations are on you as the purchaser of this new site. So, well, thank you so much, Ross. This has been so fantastic as usual. And I'm going to make sure all of our designers find you and your SEO Grok
Yep.
and all of the great things that you offer in terms of websites and SEO.
And one more thing I forgot to mention, is SEO 101, the podcast that's been going on. We're
Longest running
511 episodes
SEO
in.
podcast there is. I mean, you've been doing it's a great free resource. You also have on his website, he has a lot of, which is stepforth.com, lots of great information, and you can reach out to him. He is very approachable and he answers questions.
Anytime.
He's amazing. You've given so many
Thank you.
free reviews of designers' websites for me in the past for all of our designers.
And now you can just book a free strategy call if you want, just a free
You can
strategy
book
call
a
my site, and
strategy
I'll do
call
the
with
same
them for
thing.
free. But show up. If one of my people does not show up, I'm going to be mad at you. So, and he will tell me.
Please.
So if you book the appointment, you better show up.
That's right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so
Good to see you
much.
guys.